The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this program are solely their own and do not represent the views or opinions of Blind United. We strive to provide diverse perspectives and discussions on our platform, but the opinions expressed should be understood as personal viewpoints and not reflective of Blind United as an organization.
It's time. It's time for
coffee time.
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 And here is your coffee time crew.
Well, good Tuesday morning, everyone, and welcome back to yet another edition of Coffee Time with Blind United. Of course, I'm Ed, and I'm joined today. I got Miss Brittany. Good morning, Britt.
Good morning.
And then we got Miss Carol.
Good morning, everyone.
And then my brother Pedro.
Good morning, everyone.
So, interest groups. Man, last night was a great group, support group. Sleep hygiene. Man, that was a crazy topic, but man. Learned a lot of stuff in there. But so today we have two interest groups. So at 3 p.m. Pacific, we have the Cooking Without Looking Blind United Cook Along with Renee Redmister. And she is going to be preparing hamburger quiche. So that's what's on her agenda for her group today. And then a little bit later on, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we will have Basic Jaws with Andrew Del Castillo. So, again, if you like cooking, come on out and check out Renee. If you need help with your jaws, come out and check out Andy. You know what I'm saying? And we'd be more than happy to help you. Again, a little side note, if anybody has headlines of an article or something that they would like us to discuss on here, please shoot it to me, info@blindunited.org, and we're more than happy to create an article that we can bring on here and have a discussion about. So, but other than that, everybody had a good evening and whatnot. Everybody's got a great morning going on. Well, Brittany, there's nobody saying nothing. I'm trying to call somebody out.
Hey, I didn't know who you were talking to, Ed. You got a director.
Right, that's why I said let me go ahead and call Brittany. I always try to bring her in first, but
Last night was great. The support group was great. Got a lot of tips. I didn't know that non-24 medicine was so expensive. Now I get why my doctor didn't want to give it to me, because I asked for it and my doctor was like, "Oh no, you don't need that." And I'm like, I do. But hey.
Right.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Brittany is talking about, I forget the name of it, but bottom line, it is $15,000 for 30 pills. Okay. Yeah, that part. So that comes out to $500 a pill. Okay, why? Because that drug manufacturers, they got the patent, they got they got that market cornered, so they can charge what they want to charge. But on the flip side of that, a lot of our insurances don't want to pay that kind of money just so we can get a good night's sleep.
It's called Z-Quil, guys. Z-Quil.
Does Z-Quil work for you? Because a lot of people, last night we were talking about sleep hygiene, Pedro, and they were talking about, what is it, Z-Quil and all the other over-the-counter stuff, melatonin, and, a lot of people are saying it doesn't really work for them. That's why we talked about Hadlios. That's that's the non-24 medicine that costs $15,000.
Wow. Well, I know with the Z-Quil, it does work for me. Also read the products. I think the more natural, the better for your body. But yeah, I have done Z-Quil before. Sometimes us as blind as blind folks, we our sleeping patterns change. Sometimes we take a nap, sometimes we fall asleep out of nowhere, and it just messes all us. It messes with our schedule.
Right,
Yeah.
but in the group where he was explaining, okay, you start on the med, right, and then you basically, okay, you put yourself back on schedule, right? So, you get up at whatever time you need to get up in the morning every day, even on the weekends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you go to bed pretty much at the same time every night. So what this
Mm-hmm.
medicine does, it messes with the what do you say, the melatonin
The
receptors.
melatonin receptors. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it it just kind of keeps uh, your brain from putting out more melatonin than it needs to, overproducing it, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was very interesting. I think maybe we might need to reach out to these folks and bring them on here, and we can have a conversation with them about this stuff. So,
I know they normally come to convention, and they talk about it. Obviously, if it don't make dollars, don't make sense. That would be the market to go and talk to. But hey, we're blind. We'd love to hear about it.
right, and then, well, and then again, our audience ain't super big, but we do have an audience, so I'm quite sure that folks would love to hear more about that stuff. So, I know again, I learned a lot about it last night. So I'm definitely going to be talking to my doctor about it. I mentioned to her about 924. We just never revisited that conversation. So, but anyway, damn, I must be getting old. I'm forgetting the order of these damn articles. What's the title of the first one I got, Pedro?
A major debate heating up in Washington.
Okay, so this is all about, the right to work. Okay. I think they said like 27 states have already enacted their own right to work thing. And now we got a bill getting ready to come through Congress that they're calling the Right to Work Act. So, anyway, check this out and we'll talk on the other side.
Hey, Coffee Time crew. A major debate is heating up in Washington over workers' rights, unions, and the role of federal labor laws. The National Right to Work Act, a proposed bill currently under review in Congress, could bring significant changes to how unions operate across the country. If passed, it would make union membership and dues completely voluntary nationwide, effectively ending the ability of employers to require union participation as a condition of employment. What is the National Right to Work Act? Legislative background. House Bill, H.R. 1200, introduced by Representative Joe Wilson, RSC, on February 27, 2023. This bill seeks to repeal provisions in federal labor laws that allow employers to require union membership for employment. Senate Bill, S. 532, introduced the same day by Senator Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky. This companion bill reinforces the idea that union membership should be a personal choice, not a requirement. What would change? The bill would prohibit unions from requiring workers to pay dues or join as a condition of employment in any U.S. state, expanding existing right-to-work laws to a national level. Workers in all 50 states would have the freedom to decide whether to support a union without the fear of losing their jobs. Where does it stand? As of February 2025, the bill has been reintroduced in both the House and Senate and is currently under committee review. Its progress is being closely watched by businesses, labor unions, and policymakers. The debate, supporters versus opponents. Small Blue Diamond supporters say, it protects individual freedoms by allowing workers to choose whether to support union activities. Right-to-work laws attract businesses and encourage economic growth by making states more competitive. It ensures that unions rely on voluntary contributions rather than forced dues. Small Blue Diamond opponents say, it weakens unions, making it harder for workers to negotiate higher wages and better benefits. Without steady funding, unions may struggle to fight for workplace protections. It could lower wages overall by reducing collective bargaining power. The bigger picture. Currently, 27 states already have right-to-work laws that prohibit mandatory union membership. The National Right to Work Act would extend these protections nationwide, standardizing labor laws across all states. Recent developments. The debate over this bill has gained momentum following the nomination of Lori Chavez DeRemer for Secretary of Labor. During her confirmation hearings, she faced scrutiny over her past support for the PRO Act, which opposes right-to-work laws. While she has since clarified her stance, the discussion has reignited concerns over the future of union protections in the U.S. What do you think? Should workers be required to join a union as part of their job? Do right-to-work laws protect individual freedoms, or do they weaken workers' rights? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. Now back to the coffee time crew.
So when I first heard about this, a few years back, right? My understanding is, and I noticed they didn't mention it nowhere in this article. If this thing is passed, they could do away with the national minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means, bottom line, right to work law, as they was explained a few years back, was okay. If some of this particular job is paying $5 an hour and you willing to take the job, then that's your right. You can work for $5 an hour. Do I think they need to have that much power over unions? No, because unions are a tool to elevate people up into the middle class,
They
right?
built wealth for the
And build
American
wealth,
people.
right? Because again, the longer you're with the job, the more money you make, the better your benefits, all this other kind of stuff. It's corporations that don't want the unions, right? They want everybody to, like I said, they'd love to do away with the minimum wage. They
Yeah,
really would. I mean, I don't know how many workers they would have, but at the same time, I mean, how many, you look at your household expenses, how many jobs you got to get to pay all your bills if you're only getting $5 an hour?
Mm.
Or how many people do you need in the house to work in order to cover the household expenses?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I
And
mean,
it's the framing, right, Ed? It's the way they framing it. Oh, it's because them unions, we want to make sure that people have the equal rights and not have to forcefully pay, you know.
but again, I mean, it's always been that way. I mean, like, again, in my earlier life, I was a truck driver. Okay. Basically, that's Teamsters. I was independent. I didn't need to join the Teamsters union, right? But like when I go down to the harbor and I would do certain things, right? Like certain docks that I would go to, I wasn't allowed to touch the freight in the warehouse, if I wasn't union. I mean, I literally had to hire somebody to. Well, I had to, number one, rent a forklift, then hire somebody that was a union worker, and then they would go into the warehouse and grab my freight and set it onto the back of my truck.
Mm,
Okay, so I mean, again, it's they got these different things. I know a bunch of folks. A friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, he's retired now. He was a longshoreman out of Washington. Made really, really good money doing that stuff. To where he's able to retire comfortably, right? He's not even really worried about Social Security. It's just, look, like I said, the cherry on the sundae, right? But again, they just want to control the labor market and not be told that they have to do this or have to do that, right? And that's what unions do, So my point being, if you're gonna get a job working in the harbor, you got to go through the union, and it's still that way to this day. Even remember during COVID when we had all those container ships were sitting out in the harbor in Long Beach,
Right.
right? It was basically because they didn't have enough workers. All of. Again, it, I mean, many people do that work, right? I mean, and the difference of it is so whatever your job is, like my buddy, he was sometimes he worked where all he had to do was when the ship came in to pull up the dock, all he had to do was catch the rope and anchor it to the dock, right? So they do go to the front of the boat, ship, and do that rope. Then they go to the back and do that rope, and then on the ship they do the winches and tighten the ropes up to hold it tight against the dock. And then he was done until that boat got ready to leave. Other jobs was so. A lot of people don't realize those containers are stacked on those ships, right? And of course, and when you see images, you see them stacked above deck, but they also go under the deck, right? They're down in the hull, right? So, but even the ones that are stacked on the deck, there is a plate that, so you put a layer of containers, then you got to put this plate, right? And you lock that plate into the containers on the bottom. Then when you set the containers on the top, you lock them in, boom, 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 right? That way everything is all locked together. So when they out there in the sea and the ship's getting tossed around, it doesn't throw a container off, right? So, so there's many, many different jobs. I mean, I knew buddies that did the crane, and man, that's a hard job, just laying there kind of like on your belly all day long. And you're, I mean, 40, 50 feet in the air above the container ship. And then you're lowering this crane and you're landing right on a container, and locking in and picking it up and setting it down on the back of somebody's truck from that high in the air. Right. So,
Right.
it's a very stressful job as well. So, I believe they should get paid for that stuff. I mean, I really do. I'm not against union jobs. I'm not, you know. So anyway, that's my take on it. I know I get long-winded sometimes. I apologize. So, anybody got anything they want to add to this, or?
Well, unions build wealth. We've been getting different examples on union busting tactics from large corporations, popular corporations, Starbucks, Amazon. They've been in the media light a little bit because of the practices they've been doing for union busting. I know that it doesn't come out too much in the news, but if you're aware and read articles about these subjects, you will catch how in New York they did get a union, but they had to let go of that other union leader. You know, and Amazon was doing some tactics uncalled for, like putting where you drop off your vote for your union, a box in front of the Amazon warehouse with a camera feed, live feed, so they could catch whoever's putting in a vote.
Right, right. They want to see who's cast and balance. They want to know who they can go
Hmm.
after, you know.
And
So,
that's union busting tactics. That's not allowed and stuff like that. There is provisions against that.
well, I
you
mean,
know, but
again,
it's
uh,
just workers unionizing. We heard about their truck drivers peeing in bottles, not having enough break times to use the restroom. There were stories on the news about that.
I mean, again, it's and it ain't like truck drivers and what we want to call it, the logistics things or whatever. I mean, again, we got the UAW, United Auto Workers, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people don't know that all police they got a union. Okay, they in the union. Federal workers have a union. Okay, so I mean, there's unions all over the place, and this is just a way, as you say, to kind of throw a wrench in the unions nationwide.
Hmm.
I mean, again, I don't have a problem with, if I'm making, 40, $50 an hour plus benefits, I don't have a problem with giving them, 40, $50 a month
Hmm.
to fight for my rights. That's something else a lot of people don't know. When these unions go on strike, their union gives them what they call strike pay. Now, is it their full paycheck? No, it's not. but at least they can buy groceries and stuff like that, right? They're not just ass out, if you will.
Mhm.
So unions do a lot of good. So I believe in them. So
Yeah, and I believe this they're concentrating on unions, but it's not the main thing to really uh be excessive thinking about. It's the strategy that they're gonna use once this takes in place. Meaning, you could have a $15 job, like I was saying earlier. Like, you could have a $15 job, right, per hour, right? But if somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I'll do it for 7," and then more people come, "Oh, I'll do it for 7 or 8," it will bring back down the value of how much that job is worth to be paid per hour,
right,
and
and
then
then
affecting the lower class employee, right?
well,
Hurt
not only
that.
that, it's affecting the economy because the
Hmm.
less money people make, the less money they got to spend.
And it's the greedy billionaires, guys. I'm sorry to say,
You
but
know,
it's the billionaires.
so it is what it is. So
Hmm.
anyway, we are at that time. So let's run a couple commercials and we'll get into the next one.
If you'd like to know more about Blind United, you can visit our website at blindunited.org. You can email us at info@blindunited.org. You can call us at 909-846-8825. You can follow us on Instagram at Blind United Interest Groups. You can follow us on X at Blind United 22. You can watch our YouTube channel, Blind United. You could join our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Groups, or you can follow our Facebook page, Blind United. Did you know that people in third world countries do not have access to canes? The You Can Give initiative gives canes to people all over the world who cannot get canes. The You Can Give initiative not only goes to these countries and gives people canes, but they give people canes and a digital recorder that is solar powered that has instructions on how to use the cane and instructions on how to repair the cane. The You Can Give initiative is a very worthy cause, giving canes to blind people all over the world. If you have a cane that you're no longer using, or a cane that's broken or bent, you can go to youcangive.org and get a shipping label, and you can ship your cane to Jimmy in Tennessee, and he will refurbish it and give your cane to a blind person in a third world country. That website again is youcangive.org.
All right, as Brittany said, that's a very, very worthy cause. Man, Jimmy's doing a lot of great work out there. So again, if you got a cane you ain't using, a broken cane, maybe the cord broke, whatever the case may be, but you're not using it, or it's not usable. Man, just go to youcangive.org. You can print out a label there. Send it to him, a free matter for the blind. If you forget that, just reach out to me at info@blindunited.org, and I can do the same thing. I can print the same label out for you, and you can send it right on to him. So he can. He has what he calls refurbished parties. So he gets, he's got a group of volunteers. They all get together. He throws some burgers and hot dogs or whatever on the grill, and they just sit there and refurbish canes. I mean, everything from putting new cords, tips, handles. They rewrap them if necessary, whatever the case may be. But bottom line, he's taking these canes and he's giving them to folks in third world countries. So his next trip, I believe, is to Ethiopia. So that's the next trip coming up. So anyway, if you want to help out, now you got the information. Britt, we got any comments, sweetie?
Yeah, Monica said, "Good morning, everyone. Have a terrific Tuesday."
Morning.
Okay. Okay. What's the title on the next one, Pedro? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank this morning.
Measles outbreak.
Oh, okay. This you got to watch out for this one, Carol. We got a lot of people out there that anti-vaxxers, as they want to call them, right?
Right.
So now there's a measles outbreak in West Texas, right? But just a little history. Due to vaccinations, we had eliminated measles in America. But because of all of the, anti-vaxxer kind of stuff that went out there and all that kind of stuff, it's coming back. So check this out, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Hey, Coffee Time crew. A measles outbreak in West Texas is making headlines, raising serious health concerns, especially in undervaccinated communities. As of late February 2025, 146 cases have been confirmed, with one reported fatality, a school-aged child. This outbreak is a stark reminder of the importance of vaccination in preventing the spread of deadly diseases. What's happening in Texas? The outbreak is concentrated in the South Plains region, with Gaines County at the epicenter. A close-knit, under-vaccinated Mennonite community has been hit the hardest. The county's kindergarten vaccination rate is just under 82%, well below the 95% needed for herd immunity. Why is this a big deal? Measles is highly contagious. It spreads through coughing, sneezing, and even lingering in the air for hours after an infected person leaves. Severe health risks include complications such as pneumonia, encephalitis, brain swelling, and even death, as tragically seen in this outbreak. Declining vaccination rates increase the risk of additional outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases, such as whooping cough and polio. What can be done? Vaccination is key. The MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is about 97% effective after 2 doses. Public awareness matters. Fighting misinformation and educating communities on vaccine safety is critical in preventing outbreaks. Health officials are responding with contact tracing to prevent further spread, vaccination clinics offering free or low-cost immunizations, policy discussions on balancing individual freedoms with public health safety. The bigger picture. This outbreak is not just about Texas. It serves as a warning for any community with declining vaccination rates. Measles was once eliminated in the United States, but it is making a comeback, largely due to vaccine hesitancy and misinformation. What do you think? Should vaccines be required to prevent outbreaks like this? How can communities better address vaccine hesitancy? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. Now back to the Coffee Time crew.
So, I've said this many, many times. I don't get it, these anti-vaxxers, and so on and so forth. I know in my life, I got vaccines all my life, right? Especially till I got out of school. Even now, I'm still going and getting, like I got to do the COVID thing, right? My age, I got to do, the flu thing. I got to do, what is that other one? Yeah, shingles and, other stuff like that, right? Hepatitis, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So, again, I ain't trying to get sick with all that stuff, and again, I've been getting vaccines all my life. My kids, I had to do it with my kids. You literally had a shot card that you had to show at the school when you enrolling for the new school year that they were up to date on their shots or they could not be enrolled,
Right.
So, again, when it comes to safety, I hate to say it, but, I wouldn't be mad if they made it mandatory. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be mad, and then on the flip side of that, clinics offering, lower free. No, when it comes to, safety, I think all of all these folks, they should give that stuff up for free. Walgreens is always trying to get me to come down there, right? For whatever vaccines or whatever. Okay. Why? Because I got insurance? I don't know. But my point being, when it comes to safety, it should be free.
I
That's
agree.
just, so that's my opinion. I mean, I'm good. I got my vaccines. I'm good. So, I'm just, like I said, Carol, you need to watch out because it's spreading, baby, down there.
Well,
So,
down here they're actually shutting down schools, and when I was a kid, I don't know about you, based on my age at 60, the polio vaccine, I still have a burn circle on my left arm that shows when I got the polio vaccine. And a lot of people look at like, what is that? That it actually was from a vaccine shot.
yeah,
And
they
it's
had a
still showing.
smoke gun.
Yes.
They hit you with it. I got one on my arm.
Yes.
Again, and it was, it's not like we had a choice.
Didn't have a choice. Didn't
You
have a
know,
choice.
I remember they would, okay, well, if we're going to be vaccinating today, I mean, again, uh, I think we did have to get permission slips from our parents, but bottom line, they took the whole day and, class by class, they herded us into this, this one room and just had a line. And as we went down the line, somebody would hit us with that gun and man, that stuck a hurt.
It hurt. Yes, it did.
And then again, now we got a lifetime. From that stuff.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
vaccinations,
But
you
it kept
think
us
about,
well. It kept us
right,
well. And like you say, measles, it was eradicated. And now, just based on a lot of these parents, they don't want their kids to have this, that, and the other. And they're shutting down schools down here because of the measles outbreak once again.
right. And not only that, I mean, come on. I mean, military, they got to do a lot of vaccines when they get ready to go overseas. I mean, even if, you're doing it, privately and you're traveling some to certain countries, you got to get a certain vaccines before you even go, or they won't let you in.
That's right. Malaria,
So
all of that before you go to Africa or, you got to get those vaccines. You're right.
got to get them, got to get them. So I mean, I don't see the big hang up on it. I don't think that they. I know some folks say, well, it causes, what is it?
Alzheimer's.
Well, not Alzheimer's, but it was childhood diseases like,
Oh,
autism and stuff like
autism.
that.
Right,
You
right.
know, different stuff like that. I mean, I've never really seen any clinical proof of that. But again, I mean, I'm sorry. It's better to be safe than sorry.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So anyway, that's my take on it. I mean, Pedro, I mean, your kids still got to have vaccines.
Yes, they still do. You still got to present. They're not like they don't do them at school. I'm glad that they changed that, but they are required. Certain ones are required. I believe they going to the doctor is better. To get them, you know, due to how they administrate them. It's not cool that they left y'all guys some scars. I'm glad it has been updated and stuff. But yes, vaccines do prevent uh from catching some diseases and parasites. When you come back from traveling, if it's over a period of time, I believe over a month, there's a couple of vaccines you gotta take. Um, yeah, even going to South Africa, like yeah, we're saying you do need to take that malaria vaccine over there too because they got different things that our bodies are not used to. We haven't been to a certain part of the world that can affect the immune system and other things like that. But when it comes to to something like the C vaccine, right? When it's something major that is a global type of event, then the social contract is you have to uphold that, meaning that okay, if you don't want to take the flu vaccine, all right, that's great. All right, that's all you. But if there is a pandemic happening and you don't want to take it, it's not because, okay, your body, it's because you must take it because you're going to infect people around you. You're infecting other people that don't want to get infected by you just denying. to get the vaccine. So you putting other people's lives in danger. It takes
Right.
yourself out of the whole equation. It's more of a social issue.
Right. And then, so let's go here at the beginning of COVID, right? Before they actually had a vaccine available. We all
C-19.
had to wear masks, right? To
Mhm.
Right.
keep from preventing to prevent us from spreading it to people that may not have it, right?
Mhm.
But once you've been vaccinated, right, they still wanted to maintain that the mask thing. Why? Because there were so many people that did not want to get vaccinated. So now we got to wear a mask to protect them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because the vaccine does not mean you won't get COVID, right?
Right.
It just means that you'll have minimal side effects.
Right.
Mhm. And it
But
might and definitely need not be a fatal.
right, it won't be fatal. But again, if I've got mine, and okay, maybe I catch it, and again, I'm not gonna die. But if I come in encounter with somebody that hasn't had it, right, they
Right.
could die.
Right.
Mhm.
So again, this is, I mean, that was my thing. Once I got vaccinated, man, I hated wearing masks from the beginning. But once I got vaccinated, I there was a lot of places I just would not go if I had to wear a mask. It was just that simple. Because I'm good.
Right.
Everybody else needs to go and get good. you know, I mean, that's my opinion. But so
Yeah, and we did had eradicated that the measles. It's a shame that the misdirection of information. They had this in the Samoa Islands, I believe. Not to get too political, but RFK pushed that the vaccine was caused two deaths over there, but it actually was the mistake of two nurses putting uh instead of putting the water that dilutes it, they put a different chemical by accident, and two kids died. And RFK flew with that and pushed the government to not to give that vaccine, and kids started dying. Kids started getting it and dying over there.
But what they're basically trying to say, you all down here in West Texas, is that a lot of these measles outbreaks are from these illegal alien children that are coming over and they're spreading it. That's what they're trying to say. I don't believe it, but I, don't have any documentation or have heard any documentation
right.
saying that. But that's
Mhm.
exactly what they're trying to say.
Oh wow! But
It's
look, but according to the new administration, the border is closed.
Well, but let's
right,
go here. Had the world got behind the vaccine back when we eradicated it,
right,
and we would have had eradicated it, throughout the world,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't have this problem right now,
right.
Mm-hmm.
regardless, because everybody would have, like I say, 95%, vaccination rate is, that's what they call herd immunity. So bottom line, I mean, again, we would not have this problem right now. We wouldn't would be worried about what other people might be bringing into the country.
True.
Mm-hmm.
You're
You
absolutely
know,
right. But
so
even, before you can even start going to school down here, now they're saying that you have to show that you're a legal citizen, the children now,
yeah,
so that's just basically what they have going on around the rumor world here is it's being brought in measles through these children that are coming across the border.
and again, I'm not going to say it's not possible simply
Right.
because other places didn't do, they didn't eradicate like we did. So
True. That is true.
on that note, Britt, we got any more comments, sweetie?
Yeah, Katie said good morning and safety is important and that we shouldn't be charging people to get vaccinated.
Well, I'm thank you for agreeing with me, Katie. So this next one is kind of like a
Now, quick commercial break.
okay.
Do you need assistance with iOS? Or are you curious what iOS is? Perhaps you're seeking tips and tricks on how to use JAWS on your Windows machine? Or maybe you would like to participate in our popular support group led by Dominic? Or maybe join us for movie nights on Friday where we watch and discuss the movie of the night? For more information, please email us at info@blindunited.org. Once again, that's info@blindunited.org. You can also follow us on Facebook for real-time updates and community interactions. We look forward to connecting with you.
Do you need to talk? Are you struggling with your mental health? Are you struggling with substance abuse issues? Call the Orange County NAMI Warm Line. That number is 877-910-9276. That number again is 877-910-9276.
All right. Well, take care of your mental health. And again, check out our schedule and look into the many different interest groups that we offer for free, and come in and join us. So on that note, I think it was last week we brought up how these tech guys are going to this clinic and using doing psychotherapy kind of stuff, so what they never even said in there, and we was joking about whatever, maybe, old boy is doing it as a recreational thing or whatever, but bottom line, there's a downside to it. So anyway, let's check this article out and we'll talk about it on the other end.
Hey, Coffee Time crew. Psychedelic-assisted therapy is gaining momentum as a potential treatment for mental health conditions like depression, PTSD, and anxiety. While early research shows promising results, concerns remain about the risk of adverse experiences, commonly referred to as bad trips. These reactions can range from anxiety and confusion to distressing hallucinations, raising questions about how to ensure safe and effective therapy. Understanding adverse experiences in psychedelic therapy. Research on the frequency of bad trips in clinical settings is still developing. Studies on psilocybin therapy show that while most participants report positive outcomes, some experience temporary anxiety, agitation, or confusion. Similarly, MDMA-assisted psychotherapy, which has shown great promise for PTSD treatment, can lead to mood swings, anxiety, or depression in the days following a session. These side effects are linked to serotonin depletion caused by MDMA. However, no MDMA-related deaths have been reported in clinical settings, reinforcing the importance of controlled environments and professional supervision. What increases the risk of a bad trip? Several factors influence whether someone has a positive or negative experience during psychedelic therapy. Mental health history, pre-existing conditions, such as anxiety disorders or a predisposition to psychosis, can increase the likelihood of a distressing reaction. Set and setting. The individual's mindset, set, and the environment, setting, play a crucial role in shaping the experience. A calm, supportive space with trained professionals can significantly reduce the risk of negative reactions. Dosage and substance purity. Higher doses or impurities in non-clinical settings can lead to intense or unpredictable effects. How can adverse experiences be prevented? Experts recommend several key strategies to ensure psychedelic therapy remains safe and beneficial. Comprehensive screening. Individuals should be assessed for any personal or family history of mental illness before treatment. Preparation and integration. Patients should receive pre-session guidance and post-session support to process their experiences. Professional supervision. Trained professionals should monitor therapy sessions to offer reassurance and intervene if necessary. The bigger picture. While psychedelic-assisted therapy is opening new doors in mental health treatment, proper protocols must be in place to minimize risks. Research is ongoing, and as the field evolves, ensuring safety measures remain a top priority will be essential. What do you think? Should psychedelic-assisted therapy be more widely available? What safeguards should be in place to protect individuals undergoing treatment? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. Now back to the coffee time crew.
So, my opinion is that this article is a little bit biased. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful that people, that have certain issues going on, that they're being able to get help through this type of therapy, right? But, I mean, like when they were saying, okay, well, they don't have any data yet on bad trips, right? And then they just want to talk about a few little adverse side effects, right? Uh, uh, I mean, again, I know people that, well, I'm going to keep it 100, right? When I was a teenager, okay, well, experimenting, I took a tab of orange sunshine, which, we call it acid. It's still an LSD. It's still, a psycho thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, I took it that morning before I left the house. Man, I was cool all day long, right? I mean, the high was really, really mellow. It was like a continuous weed high, right? It just lasted all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home and I opened the screen door to walk in the house, and my mom was in the kitchen, and there's a little, wall that where she's standing at the stove, you can't see her, right? So she stepped back to look, see who came in the door, and I wigged out. My mama literally melted like the Wicked Witch in the Wizard of Oz. Okay, I mean, after being cool all day long, right? And I literally turned and took off running. And I'm telling you, I had to run, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 miles before I got it off of me, before I stopped. I mean, I went and got on the railroad track and just took off running, but again, you got to be super, super careful from this stuff. I mean, was I doing it on my own? Yes, I was. I mean, guidelines, regulations, yeah. If you're going to be doing this kind of therapy, then yeah, you really need to vet these these clients or whatever you want to call them, right? And make sure that they don't have any of these things that might cause an adverse thing. Again, they need to be monitored,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole session and all that kind of stuff. Again, they need to be, have conversation when they coming out from under it, right? How to process all the stuff that they just, experience, all that other kind of stuff. So, I mean, but on the flip side, there's always going to be people that are going to use it as a recreational thing, and that's where most of our deaths and stuff are coming when it comes to this drug. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you need to be in a professional controlled setting when it comes to psychedelics. I was listening to a podcast, and they were doing I think ayahuasca. So the dude um went into his psychosis, whatever it was, and they were continuing the podcast. He was quiet. When he kind of came out of it, he was like in shock, almost tearing, and he was explaining how he thought he was somewhere for 3 years and had a family with kids and was running a day-to-day type thing, right? Knowing that he came back to to here, he was shocked. It was like a shock to his mind or something. He was crying on the podcast and all that. He was
yeah,
he was
I mean,
he had a shock, you
it
know.
can really affect your mental state. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
done outside of a clinical setting. Man, it's like playing Russian roulette. I'm sorry, I'm just going to go there. It really is. It's not like people have not overdosed,
That's
right?
right. You're right.
Like this guy you talking about, Pedro. He went into a thing where he thought he was, had a
I got
family and all this stuff. You got
him.
people are thinking they're Superman and they stand out in front of a train or
That's
whatever.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
There's many different things that this stuff can do to your mind outside of a clinical setting.
You're
You
absolutely
know,
right.
so
But you
I
know,
mean, me personally, when the story originally had came out, and I had shared, being youthful like you, Ed, I used it as well, but I had a horrible trip. I'm all for if it helps someone who has PTSD or anxiety or depression, in a clinical setting where they can monitor them, great. But I used it to get high, and my high was not happy. So, you know, it will make you think that you're inseparable and that you can do things that you can, and you see things that are not there. So
right,
it was not a pleasant experience for me to where I did
right.
it once and would never do it again.
Well,
yeah,
the same thing. I never did it again because why? Although throughout the day it was a nice high, the what I experienced in the end, it wasn't worth it. It
Right,
wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
To see your mom just melt into the ground like the Wicked Witch on the Wizard of Oz,
and
right.
and
man,
besides
that's
just
crazy.
yeah, and besides just PTSD, for that they're using like DMT and other psychoactive drugs to cure hard hitting drugs like methamphetamine, people that are addicted to heroin. Um, I know they've been doing these outside the United States. I seen interviews of different people that they swear by it, that they that they haven't even touched a needle or even a pipe and things like that, and they swear by it, you know. Um,
Well,
I
but
have crazy stories sometimes when I go out. I always have somebody approach me and sometimes tell me about their life. And there was a young lady one day that told me her friend went down to Mexico and she wanted to go to Mexico. The lady was homeless on drugs, but she was telling me her whole story. But the gist of it is that her friend went down to Mexico and her friend took one of these treatment and was not, was not a druggie no more. And she wanted to go to Mexico. She's just like, I don't know. And, but she was talking about it. And it's crazy because sometimes people approach me and tell me some stuff like that. And I'm like, okay,
well,
but, you know,
I mean,
the,
like I said, it's not that I'm not against it because it is working. You know what I'm saying? In like you say, a clinical environment with trained professionals. So I mean, again, I'm not against it, but I mean, I guess the reason I want to revisit it because again, you got to be aware. You know what I'm saying? And then again, the doctors have to do, or therapists, whatever we want to call them, that is administering this stuff. They have to do their diligence, like the article said, and make sure these people they don't have any mental history in their family, different stuff like that. You got to make sure you get these people in the right mindset
mhm,
before you start administering these drugs, right?
Right.
Otherwise, all you're doing is, creating more opportunity for them to have a bad trip, So,
Hmm.
mhm,
again, that's, but, on the flip side, I mean, I know people have done the same thing with going and getting hypnotized. They go get hypnotized, they quit smoking, they quit doing drugs, they quit drinking,
mm,
whatever, right? It's
Right.
basically for me anyway. It's just how they tap into your mind.
Your
Where this,
mindset. Hmm.
they tapping into your mind through these, through this psychotherapy thing. But again, even folks that do the hypnotist stuff, right? Same thing. They're tapping into that mind and they're kind of reprogramming it. You know what I'm saying? In essence, to get the results that they want.
Yeah, that's what's happening on both fields. Yeah, they reprogramming your mind.
So again, I just say, just you got to be super super careful with all this kind of stuff. uh you know i mean uh I wouldn't even trust a doctor that I had on my staff, that's willing to give me whatever I ask for.
Yeah, because those type of therapies you got to start with like micro dosing,
Well,
and you
but
have
but
to have a
again,
whole type of technique and staff that's equipped to handle, you know.
I get it, but I'm just, again, I would hope that if I became that rich to have my own doctor, we have to sign a thing first, right? That regardless of what I ask for, you're not going to do nothing that's going to hurt me. You're not going to do nothing that's going to put me
Hmm.
in danger of losing my life. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
just because I asked you for a particular drug or whatever, what I'm saying, if I don't need it, don't give it to me. If it's not going to hurt me, then
Hmm.
okay, let me have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. That's just my way of thinking about it.
yeah. I
So
also remember another story. It was a dude that he was stutter. He had a stuttering problem, right? And he was getting interviewed in this podcast. He said that he took mushroom psilocybin mushrooms, something like that, that they're stronger, right? So right, he had a trip and all that, right? He hallucinated and stuff like that, right? Whatever that, he went through the whole podcast talking about that. But in the end, he said that his stuttering stopped. Like he can't explain it, but his stuttering has stopped. He didn't stutter no more. The psych something about the drug he did affected him that way that he didn't had a stuttering problem. He wouldn't, because his problem was getting nervous and just stuttering out of control.
right.
Yeah, and he said it stopped drastically, really drastically.
And I know it's the case with most people that do stutter. They're always nervous because of their speech impairment, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So again, and then once they start talking, once they start stuttering, then they become even more, anxiety comes down on them, and
Mhm.
then now they, get to a point where they can't say two words without stuttering.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
again, you know, but again, I mean, I'm good. I'm happy it worked out for him, but I think he just got lucky on that one.
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, if it works, and it can actually be proven that you can do stuff like that, then okay, do it in a clinical setting.
And
I mean, that's just my opinion.
I believe it's something in the mind as well because I have a cousin down here. Her name's Octavia. She had a stuttering problem. She has her whole life, but she had a stroke. Now after the stroke, she can still speak, but she does not stutter. But the stroke took away her stuttering.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, before we get out of here, Britt, any new comments? I guess we lost Brittany.
Oh.
Well, I'm already on the end stream button, so I apologize to anybody if you have commented and your comment did not get read. I truly do apologize. So, but I thank you for joining in. I thank everybody, for being loyal listeners to what we're doing here. As always, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, comment, share, all of that good stuff. It really does help this stuff to get out to more and more people, and lets our message get out to more and more, as we move forward and continue to grow. So everybody have a great Tuesday. Get your tacos, get your tamales, whatever it is you do on Tuesday, and we will see you back here tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Time with Blind United. Have a great day.